All right, well, I'm going to start. Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited that you were able to participate on such short notice. We were talking to Phil, and he was talking about how important this topic is during this time when we're all feeling a little bit stressed out, and maybe we're not even aware of our stress, but we're there. And Nanor has known Phil for a long time, so I'm going to pass it to you, Nanor, so that you can introduce him in just a second. And before that, I just want to let everybody on the line know how we're going to work it. So Phil would love to have some interaction and hear your questions during his talk. And the way we're going to do that is have you either put it in the chat box or the Q&A, and Nora and I will sort of facilitate it over to him. And if you want to even unmute yourself as you're asking the question, ask Phil the question in person, you'll be welcome to. And we're just all going to navigate that to the extent that we can. We want to participate with Phil, but we also want to hear what he says. So with that, I'd like to pass it to Nanor, if you can tell us about Phil and how you met him and
yeah,
so
awesome. I'm super excited. Thank you. I'm honored to get to introduce Phil today. So I'm Nanor, and I'm the president of the International Coaching Federation's Orange County chapter. And Phil and I met back in 2017 when we were taking a leadership course together in Cancun. And instantly we had a connection, I would say. And, you know, I wanted to share who Phil is for me. He is compassion. He's integrity, he's courage, he is authenticity, fun, yeah. But above all of that, what I really want you to know about Phil is his commitment to transforming humanity. What he means about transformation is like when nothing about our circumstances changes, but our view of the world and the people powerfully shifts such that we get to take actions that really make a difference. And from just the few years that I've known Phil, I can say he's really dedicated his adult life to teaching, training, learning, discovering for his own self how to live a transformed life, and encouraging others and enrolling others to do so. And so, you know, as you can hear from my speaking, Phil is a big contribution to my life, and I very much respect and honor him for that. But you know, I had asked Phil to see if he would be willing to do something for our chapter, and he was going to do a live training. And he was going to come down to Orange County and support us with our theme of 2020, which is supporting all of you, all of us coaches, to have a successful and prosperous coaching business. And Phil had come up with this really creative and fascinating topic, and it was going to be called Creating a Successful Coaching Business as a Network of Conversations. I was like, what is that? And he essentially shared that it's really about the listening and the speaking that we have for our prospective clients. And just last week we were talking, and I was like, hey, Phil, like, how can I be a support to my community? So especially right now in these constant uncertain times. And he was like, we got to do a webinar right now, immediately. This is relevant, you know, and it's going to be on the power of listening. And so hopefully we still get and have an opportunity to have him come back to do something live. But, you know, for right now, this is it. And I wanted to hand it over to Phil. And please, just everyone, still, even in whatever he's going to share and present today, please have the listening that we could still apply this to growing our business. So thank you, Phil, for coming and doing this for our community. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. I live in Santa Cruz, California, and that's north of you about 8 hours or so. But Nanor is just a wonderful gift to the world. And I got to know her and her husband over dinner in Cancun. So I really, really appreciate, what she said. And I know that every word she said is really an acknowledgement. And if you ever get acknowledged by Nanor, it is a gift. So thank you for that, Nanor, that
Thank you.
introduction. And I just appreciate all of you who are on today. I know that you probably could have been doing other things that, since we're all in our homes, and all of a sudden things show up that in our homes that we normally wouldn't have done because we would have been away from home. So, some of us are dealing with things. So thank you for joining us today. I want to share with you during these times with the coronavirus that there's been a lot of things that have shown up for me as a consultant. And I've been consultant for many years now and have coached and consulted thousands of people. But recently what's shown up is that the rug's been pulled out from underneath us. What was once known is an unknown now. So a lot of people have been calling me to talk, just to talk, because they're trying to figure out and how to sort out what we're dealing with. And a lot of us don't know how to deal with what we're dealing with. So the one thing I noticed that was wanted and needed was listening. That's it. All my wisdom, all my knowledge and everything is out the window because the situation we're dealing with, we don't know how to deal with and handle. So what is left is to listen and to connect. But today we're going to deal with the situation of listening to another, such that we're not in the way. And given that a lot of your coaches, this is a perfect topic. And, this includes people that you have already as clients. It includes your family. And it includes prospective clients as well. So you want to really just take this to heart today and don't believe anything I say today. Don't believe it. I want you to try it on for yourself. That's the best way to go through this next hours. When you take what you got out of this, don't believe what I said, like, okay, if that's what he said, I'll do it. No, do it because you want to discover for yourself. That's the best way for anyone to have an experience. All right, with that, I'm going to start in with the slide presentation I have, and I'm going to share my screen. Let's see if I can do this. Let me know that this is showing up. Okay, does that show up? Yeah, great. All right,
Yes.
very good. All right, I'm going to move this over here. The slides. And move this up. Somehow this is, there we go. All right, so today it's about powerful listening for peace of mind. And notice I didn't say for peace of mind for others or for oneself. It's peace of mind for you and the people that you're interacting with. And again, this includes clients, this includes prospective clients, it includes family members, it includes friends. So here we go with the slide presentation. Hang on just a second. The first thing we want to talk about is authenticity. Now, why would we talk about authenticity when it comes to listening? I'm just using my ears. What's this whole thing about authenticity? Do I have to be authentic with people to listen? Well, the truth of the matter is, yes. Most of us are inauthentic when it comes to listening. And I'm going to start at the very bottom. Authenticity is highly valued by people. On the whole, we don't like or trust people who come across as phony or false. People intuitively know when someone isn't listening to them and pretending to listen. I don't see your faces, but I'm sure if you raise your hand, you'd be able to have that time when you were speaking to somebody and they weren't listening to you, but they were shaking their head as if they were, and you walked away going, I don't think they heard a word I said. So, you know, even though we say we listen, we have to be honest with ourselves and come to terms with that we don't listen. You got to start from the very start. Let me go here. Let's be honest. We don't really listen to others. And you got to start with that. Take a look at how many times when you were engaged with either a client, a prospective client, a family member, you know, all you have to do is ask your children. If you have children, they'll let you know when you aren't really listening to them. But that's a great place to start, is being honest that you don't really listen. We don't. You know, okay, now what? Now that I know that I don't listen to others, well, what am I listening to if I'm not listening to others? What is this thing called I'm not listening to others? I'm sure I listen to others. I think I do, but we got to get straight with ourselves first. Really straight and honest, and talk to ourselves about, yep, you know what? I don't listen to other people. So what is it that I'm listening to? That's the next question. If we don't really listen to others, what are we listening to? Ernest Hemingway said, when people talk, listen completely. Most people never listen. So that was back in Ernest Hemingway was 1899 and 1961. That was a long time ago. And even then, he was saying, we don't listen to each other. Okay, so what is it to listen completely? That's what we're asking. And by the way, at any time when you've got a question, please go ahead and put it in the chat to interrupt me. I will be glad to stop, okay? And we can talk about anything that's there for you regarding listening. Here's the problem. The biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply. We're listening, but we're not listening with the other person. We're listening to, what do I need to say next? What do I need to say that will make me look better? What will I need to say that will have the person like me? See, this is the inauthenticity we have with people when we say we're listening to people. We are actually listening to our own survival in the moment. We're looking at, how am I going to survive this conversation? That's some of the things that we're listening to. I'm going to give you the opportunity for you to discover, what is it that you're listening to when you're interacting with somebody. So just notice that when we are sometimes listening to someone, we're not really being with them. We're actually being with something else. Well, what are we being with if we're not being with them? And what is it like for the other person speaking if you're more engaged with your thoughts? Now, there's something to ponder. If you're engaged with your thoughts, what's it like for the other person? As we said earlier, we said that, oh my gosh, I know when somebody's not listening to me. We walk away and we kind of wonder, oh, did that person really get me? Or was I just talking a lot and, you know, they didn't understand what I was saying? Why is it that I feel not heard? Oh, well, and then we pass it off as something that's the way life is. No. Your job as a consultant or coach is to really, really get in another person's world. That is your job. And to really understand them. Understanding is, the way I look at understanding is to stand under and hold those people up, no matter what the world looks like to them, is to really be that compassion for their view of the situation they're dealing with and the people they're dealing with. So you got to really look and see, oh my gosh, if I'm walking around not listening to people and I'm pretending to listen to people, I wonder what's like for others around me when they talk to me. I recommend after this today, whether it's on a phone or on a Zoom with other people or in your own family, ask your family members, do I appear that I'm listening to you? What's it like when you talk and I listen? And you're going to get some surprising answers. That's a great, as I said earlier, it was to really put it in practice as a discovery. What's people's experience of how you listen to them? And you're going to find out some interesting things. So you got to find out what it's like when you say you're listening or you're in the act of listening, and what it's like for that other person who's speaking, to see if they're getting an experience of being listened to. That's how you really know, and they'll let you know. And we're going to be talking a little bit about how the brain has registered moments in our lives when we were really listened to when we were younger. And then when we meet somebody who says they're listening to us, our brain says, that's not the way I have experienced it before. So we're going to talk a little bit about that later on. So what is in the way of really listening to others? Now you can look at that picture there, and that really describes most of us. You can imagine walking into a meeting with a client, or not these days walking in, but being with a client, and you're coming to a meeting with that. Just take a look at that. You're coming to a meeting with all that going on in your brain. Your thoughts. I think there's some words in there like money, unsure. Oh, there's a chat question there. Let's see if I can see that.
Would you like me to read it to you, Phil?
Yeah, go ahead. That'd be great.
Sure. This is from Sherry, and she says, this relates to the COVID virus precautions. I have a family member who's not taking steps to protect himself, such as hand washing and social distancing, even though he hears and knows it. When I ask him why, he'd give excuses. How to help? I'm concerned he's jeopardizing the health of other family members he lives with.
Yes, very good. Yeah, so you have a concern that they're not concerned. So what you're listening to is, how can I help them to be in compliance and taking care of other people that they don't spread it. So right now that person is choosing for themselves, unfortunately, but they're choosing for themselves not to act responsibly. The thing you want to do at this point is to ask them what their concerns are. I know that they're not acting in, consistent with everyone else. And some people are out there actually doing this, but you want to listen from what is that person's concern and be listening for it, because there's something else there. As we know, some people can go around being right about something, but if you resist what they're being right about, then it will only make it stronger. So in other words, if you're being right and saying, no, you're wrong, you need to do, they're going to go, no, you're wrong. And then you're going to go, well, let me tell you more, you're wrong. And then you're wrong, and then you're wrong, and then you're wrong. And then there's nothing really happening with the situation. So what's missing probably for that person is somebody just getting them exactly the way it is for them. That's all.
So we have a little bit of a follow-up here.
Go ahead.
And Sherry, if you want, you can also, I think, unmute yourself if you'd like to talk to Phil directly and ask your question. But I'll go ahead and read what you've added on here, which is he's told me he feels we're all doing too much and all the commotion is making things worse, not the hand washing.
Yeah, you can hear the concern in there. Did you hear the concern?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing too much. We're doing too much. What is he concerned about? It's not right or wrong. It's a concern. And what's really missing is that person being heard. That's it. They're not right and they're not wrong. They just need to be heard. And if you can give them the gift of your listening, instead of listening to all the things that are on this guy's mind, and you know, all those, the anger, the upset, the point of view, the no, they're wrong, I'm right, I'm better, or I'm healthier, or they're doing it wrong. That's what you're really listening to. So my recommendation is, and we're going to go through this, how to be with another person without all those thoughts right there getting in the way. Because there's something in the way between you and this person. To listen to them without judgment.
So one of the things I hear you saying, Phil, is let's say you and I are in a conversation and I have a perspective and you have a different perspective. Even though I feel very passionately about my perspective, what's really going to move us forward in the conversation is for me to deeply listen to your perspective.
Exactly. Because look, everybody's got a perspective. It's not the same as your perspective. Everybody's got a perspective. That's all. Everybody has a point of view. That's all. And the moment we create our point of view being right, that's when we create the other person being wrong. And that person feels they need to defend their point of view in order to survive. So all that's going on here is a battle for survival. But when you truly listen without judgment, suddenly survival disappears. That's what I'm going to say. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, now Nora says, please share what's the way of really listening to others for you, which I think is a perfect follow-on. So sort of get it conceptually. How do we do that?
Okay, well, that's what's next.
You're asking
yeah. That's exactly what's next. So,
oh, well, I was actually wondering maybe the attendees who are on the line can post for themselves, like what's in the way of really listening to others.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Nanor, for clarifying that. I read that actually wrong.
Yeah, so here's what you do is you want to, at this moment, you got a piece of paper, write down what is on your mind right now, and yes, those thoughts. The ones that make the other person wrong, like the person that was sharing, like, no, they're not doing it right. No, they're going to infect others and, we're going to all die and, it's going to be their fault and they're not listening. Like, take a look and see what you're really listening to.
And we have some people already sharing. So okay. Time limitations, trying to get through the coaching process in a short duration with some outcome for the client.
Yeah. See, this is what you have to do before the client. See, what I do is, I highly recommend you get, before you go into a meeting or a call, get a pad of paper and write down all your thoughts to clear your brain. Your points of view, what you think is right, what you think your agenda is, everything that's there, and clear your mind before you meet with the client, whether on a phone call or Zoom, I don't care. You are there for the client, not for your thoughts.
Yeah, I know as a coach, it is hard sometimes as you listen to try to get through the coaching call and navigate it on your agenda. I've got a couple more comments here from
Go ahead.
Erica. The
Yeah.
thing that gets in the way is our ego. We need to attempt to let ego go, and that listening be right is not the goal of listening, to hear and validate what has been shared. A global pandemic is making this hard because there is concern of a right way and a wrong way of doing things. Interesting. Dale Carnegie gives us a great tool to help us listen to and validate a person who has different points of view before we ever attempt to get into affecting change within them or ourselves. And then someone else says it's easier with a client. With family members, it's tougher. I would agree with that. And one more chat here. Do you want me to give you all these at once? Or do you want to
let me take that family one. That family one is really hot. Look, I have a family where we have different political views. And what I got through this whole training was to validate their political view. Not like they're right, but I find it fascinating. It's a whole different world than what my point of view is. It's funny when we go through a forest and we look at trees of different sizes and shapes and different leaves, and we go, oh, look at that beautiful tree. Oh, look at the bark on that tree. Isn't that interesting? Oh, look how that tree bends over. Oh, look how that tree grows straight. And we don't have any judgment. But when we're with our family, we're like, oh man, that was dumb. Oh man, if only they knew what they said was going to ruin the world and blah, blah, blah. What we need to do is get out of the way what's in the way between us and the people we're with. And how you do that is you have to be willing to clear yourself by putting down all those thoughts that could be getting in the way, like your point of view when you're right, being right about something, your past experience of them, like they never listened to me, like they always talk too much, I never get a word edgewise. All those are your point of view. The power is in the listening, not in the speaking. I'll say it again. The power is in the listening, not in the speaking. So if you want to be powerful with somebody who has a different point of view, listen. That's all. That's it. Not giving them advice, not changing their mind, not trying to convince them they're wrong. Listening is the power. Okay, somebody has some more.
Yeah, we have a lot more in here. I'm going to try to sort of categorize them. So we've got the category of people that are just resonating with the having different members of your family with different political beliefs. And I think also, just being the right and wrong thing of the pandemic, also being on the phone with our clients and having a subconscious agenda where we want to get them an outcome. So if they talk too much and we don't do anything but listen, does that, so we've got and someone said we have to be careful of imposing an agenda on the client, even a subconscious agenda.
Yeah, your gift to your client is listening, not wonderful advice. That whoever said the ego gets in the way was accurate. We think, look, I've been consulting people for years. None of my advice was the best thing that ever happened to people. Really, none of my wonderful wisdom. What made the difference was people got heard. And my work, many years of doing this, where people felt they were empowered was, and they got to discover for themselves by listening to themselves talk as well, instead of listening to my wonderful advice. See, this is the issue you got to really look at. Are you listening to, I want to show them what a wonderful coach I am so that they'll hire me for the next 6 months? It's really not about that. It's really about people being gotten and heard and listened to. That's what's missing in the world. That's why we're having to stop and really listen. to family members, listen to clients, listen to our community, listen. And it's taken this situation to stop us in our tracks and pause and listen. If any of you get the chance, go outside and be in nature by yourselves, of course, and listen, start listening. You'll hear birds singing. Really? But we've been so busy and on our phones and on our computers, we didn't stop to listen to the world around us, including the people around us, because we were so in our survival of making it. There's no making it now. There's just, okay. Another question.
So we have quite a few comments here. I'm going to start reading them because they're all really good. So one person shares that for me, active listening is to echo back the key points that the speaker makes. This clarifies and affirms the speaker. The echo is a neutral element of the process. Someone else noted that there's a difference between validating their perspective versus agreeing to it or accepting it as our own, which I think is a great point. Someone else makes a point. We also need to get curious about them, which I absolutely agree with. That's kind of one of my ways of getting into listening mode, is getting really curious and fascinated about whoever I'm talking to or listening to.
Let me interrupt you for a second. Yeah. That is gold. Whoever that person was, that's gold, because when you're curious, you're going to discover that person. Now, many of us, we sit on the couch with our wives, husbands, partners, children, and we only have one thing that we're listening with, the past. How they were yesterday, how they were 2 months ago, how they were a year ago, and we're not present with them, who they are right now. And the only way you find out who they are right now is to be curious. Oh, honey, what's going on with you? What's been happening for you today? A curiosity, and just really being with them now, with nothing in the way, just discovering them. That's why I have here writing down those thoughts and getting them out of the way. What happens is that you have space to discover, who are these people that I'm living with? Who are these family members that I have not, because I've been so involved in my survival, my point of view, my ego, that I haven't have had time to discover who these people are, whether they're clients or community members.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm so with you on that. And also, feeling yourself in curiosity is a little bit beyond just asking those words, right? You actually have to feel the curiosity. A couple more points that people are sharing, like little tips of their own, and then another comment. Listen to understand, not to reply. Authentic listening is being present. No distractions, no phones, no excuses. Reflective coaching is a good way to show your clients that you're listening to them. So I think we're moving to, how do we know that our clients are feeling heard? And one other comment here, that it's such a good point, Phil. We do, in some respects, have a completing agenda as coaches. We want to be active, intentional listeners for our clients, yet we are also figuring out how we can be perceived as effective so that we can continue to attract and retain them. So that's really well said. So that was an acknowledgement to you for really making that distinction. I think we all do struggle for that.
Yeah, right there in that, look, you won't be able to know what they're perceiving. You'll never know what they're perceiving.
Good point.
But what you can do is be a declaration for yourself and for them that you are effective. Now you get that out of the way, and now be with them. I'm effective as a coach. Great, thank you very much. Now put it aside and be there with them. If you put too much attention on, am I being effective? Am I being effective? Am I being effective? Am I being effective? Where's the attention? You, not them. So put that aside. You're not going to get rid of it. That's always going to be there. Just put it aside until you're done with the client. I leave mine in the car. If I'm traveling or if I meet with somebody, I'll just say, "You look, ego, you just need to sit here, listen to the radio, be busy or something. I'm going to go in for a meeting. When I come back out, I'll take you back home." So that's how I clear myself. See, that's what it says here. Once we've cleared our mind, now we can really listen. And some of you have been pointing to that, is really just being present. Nothing in the way, being present and listening authentically, not pretending, authentically, and validating what they're speaking and saying and what it is to be them. That their reality is real. It's the real deal. Whatever it is they're sharing with you is real for them. And you're getting in their shoes and having that experience of what it's like to be them. That's when a person feels validated, like, finally, someone gets what's been going on with me. My concerns. Okay, next. Did you have something else?
No, I think we're good and we're ready to move on.
All right, now let's take a look and ask that question again. What is it like when someone really listens to you? You know, I can remember my grandmother, bless her heart. She was like the angel in my life. And some of you have had this person in your life where you were heard. You know, like if I got in trouble with my parents and did something wrong and they would punish me or, you know, scold me, and my grandmother was nearby and she would come around and she goes, "Are you okay?" And she'd give me a big hug and I'd be crying and say, "Yeah, Mama, I got yelled at. Mom said I did." And she goes, there, that's okay. I understand, and you're having a rough day. And suddenly everything would just drop away and you felt loved and, you know, everything was all right, you know. And you got somebody who made you okay, even if you screwed up. The brain registers that experience. Okay, you got to know that the brain will register that experience. It will also register an experience when somebody's pretending they're listening to you. So when you are being with another person, or the other person's being with you and they're speaking, and you're not listening effectively, authentically, what's going to happen is their brain's going to go, wait a minute. It's going to start comparing. Remember when I was really heard when I was 8 years old? Yeah, no, this isn't like it. This is not like that. And we'll know when someone is not listening to you authentically. You can't fool people pretending to listen to them because their brain already has an imprint of when they were really listened to when they were a child. And so we grow up with this and we go through life and we know the difference. So most of you have had that experience. If not, you know, you can share some of the experiences of, you know, write down the person that was there for you 100%. This is what it's like when you want to be authentic for somebody, is to be that 100% there for them. No matter if it's right or wrong, they just want to be validated, as you've known, and some people have already expressed. Is there another question there? Nope? Okay, great. Our brains remember when we have been powerfully listened to. So when you look at and talk to another person, our brain is engaged with out here with you when you're listening to them, and their brain is scanning you and they're watching, and the brain is listening as well. as they're speaking. Is this person a direct experience with my grandmother or my best friend or my teacher or my parent? And the brain will tell you when, or that person, when you are powerfully listening to them. So even if you thought you had the techniques down of being a great listener, even if you conceptually know how to be a great listener, the other person will experience you as a great listener or not. That's what it is to walk through life. And if you're pretending or conceptually being something you're not, the other person speaking will know immediately that you are not. They may not say anything to you, but it may result in, I really don't want to continue our contract after 6 months, so thanks very much. Or it may result in, well, I'm not calling that person again. Or I hope I don't hear from that person again, because all they're going to do is say they're listening, but they're going to tell me what I'm doing wrong or their agenda or what they want to sell me. This whole thing in sales is a whole different story. One thing I want to share with you, I didn't expect to talk about this, but in sales, it's all in the listening. Sales is not in convincing another person to sign a contract with you. Sales is not about getting a person to know that they're doing the wrong things and you have all the answers. The act of sales is listening, and listening for the concerns of that prospective client. And when, as people have stated, when you reflect those concerns with them and say, oh, I understand that you are having an issue with communication with some of your employees. Okay, you're also having an issue with revenue, generating more revenue. Okay, got it. And you're also having an issue with people that your customers, increasing your customer base. I can see why you'd be frustrated. I get it. I can see that. So you're actually listening. They're telling you what they want to work on with you versus your template or your wisdom. They want to tell you what they want to work on with you. And when you fully get their concerns and say, I'd like to be your partner in working on those concerns and get those concerns fulfilled and met, now they feel like, wow, somebody is finally beginning to see what it's like to be me and what I'm dealing with. Then you can start working on what needs to happen once they sign the contract. Then you can say, well, I'd like to start with you next week or next month if we could. Can we start on Tuesday, or can we start the first week in April, or can we start? That means you're ready to act to be their partner and to help them resolve their concerns.
I love what you're saying about sales, Phil, and I love that you brought it up since our theme is business development, and I think a lot of coaches struggle with that. And we have a comment that just came in. Great quote from chat. The person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. I love that. Mm-hmm. Just had to share.
That was great, because that person will stay stuck. If you don't get their concerns and work with their concerns, they will stay stuck in their concerns, and then they'll blame it on you. That you didn't turn their concerns around. Why? Because you never got their concerns from the get-go. So they'll say, yeah, that person was a lousy coach. They didn't help me with anything. They talked a lot during the meetings, but they gave me a lot of good ideas, but I never got heard. I had to sit there and listen to them. That really, this whole business of coaching is really the powers in listening. Believe it or not. Try it on. Don't believe me. That's why I keep saying, don't believe a word I'm saying. Go out and find out. That's how I've gotten people to have clients, is that for myself, is that I don't come in with, here's how I'm going to fix you. People don't want to be fixed. Anyway, somebody just posted another.
Yeah, commiserating. She says, thank you, Bethany, for sharing. She says, I had a peer coach like that. Boy, did I run from ever having to meet with them a second time. Lots of telling me how to do things, not any listening. So we all know that experience of being talked at.
Yeah, that's why I say if I'm talking and you're sitting there going, well, I guess I have to do what I say. No, don't do what I say. Go out and find out for yourself. Really, it's a discovery versus I have to do it. And nobody likes to be bombarded with words and words and words and words, and then they can hardly wait till the meeting's over with. When we stand in another's shoes with nothing in the way of our listening, they feel fully heard. This is so key. That's what it is to be related. Sorry, I'm kind of loud. I don't make excuses for being loud.
No, I love that. And then in contrast, Bethany shares, when you're not feeling heard, it makes you feel completely broken because the other person seems to be trying to fix you. And I've been in that situation too.
Yeah,
the difference.
Suddenly you're less than.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly you're different than. Suddenly you're dumber than. But when you're fully gotten, you're with somebody. You're connected. You're a human being, a whole complete human being, that there's nothing wrong with you. And when you come across, like you just explained, when you come across like something's wrong with you and I'm going to fix you, you're less than a human being. You know, as a real effective coach, the job is to have the person be a full, whole human being, capable, having capacities to accomplish. Somebody else sent it.
So we have a question from Tamar, and I think many of us share this question. What's a great way to practice to really listen to others?
Oh, great question. Well, the first thing to do to practice is clear your mind with the pad of paper. That's the first practice. Clear yourself first. Then you want to, just be on the phone with somebody or just be with a family member and practice with a family member. If you have children love to be heard. Practice with children. Practice with a prospective client. It's on what we call on the court in real life. There's no practice to life, to living. There's actually just going out and doing it. Empty your mind. Now, listen. And that's with everyone around you, including yourself.
Phil, is there like okay, I get it. Practice the listening, yes. But is there like a context or a place to come from to listen from so that you can practice it more authentically?
Yeah, first of all, the first place to come from is that you don't listen. That's the first place to go to. That's the very first step. You don't listen. Second step, okay, if I don't listen, what am I listening to? Oh, I'm listening to how right I am, or how much I need to be loved and approved and accepted, or I need to get this contract or else I'm going to be in trouble with my money and blah, blah, blah. You want to start distinguishing, oh, look what I'm really listening to. I'm listening to my fears. Write them down. Oh, okay, I'm listening to those fears. I'm listening to my concerns, my worries, my doubts. Oh, okay, I'm not listening to other people. I'm more interested in my thoughts. Once you get clear that you're only listening to yourself, and then you can write it down on your pad of paper and then put that aside and say, stay right there. I'll be right back. I got a conversation to go to listen to somebody. Because when you come back, those thoughts are going to be there. You're still going to have your worries. You're still going to have your fears. You're still going to have your doubts. None of that's going away. But the practice is to not identify your listening with that. Identify your listening with that other person. But the only way you can do that is to clear yourself and then stand in another's shoes with nothing in the way of our listening. And they'll get that they're fully heard. Check it out. Don't believe me. And whatever, here's the magic. Whatever the person speaking was concerned about will loosen its grip on them. You can see those two trees, a really great demonstration is that when you're listening, it loosens the grip. You ever been listened to in such a way that you kept talking and talking, the person kept authentically listening to you, and suddenly you went, God, I feel so much better. God, why is it I feel better? Is because the other person was being with you and those thoughts no longer had a grip on you. So you're doing a service. This whole talk today is about bringing peace of mind. The way to bring peace of mind is to get your mind out of the way, to be with others and their concerns, such that their concerns get out of the way and they can act powerfully in their lives. You are serving by powerfully listening to others. You want to be of service in these times, whether for your clients, for your prospective clients, friends, family members, be a listening for them. And people are scared right now. People don't know what to do, including companies, including people who have, small businesses. They don't know what to do. And what they're really needing is someone to listen, to loosen that grip of fear. And that's how you can serve others in your coaching, is to loosen the grip of the constraints that keep people from acting effectively in life. As the other person who was speaking about their family member who had a different point of view about the coronavirus, is that there's a grip on them. They've got a point of view that's so strong, it's got a grip on them. And if you're actually just there being with them and listening to them, I tell you, I promise you, you'll watch the magic happen with your relationship with that person. They may not change their point of view, but you'll transform your relationship with them. But again, don't believe me. Go out and try it for yourselves. And it will take time after time. It doesn't happen overnight, by the way. This is something that's going to be something you're going to have to work on. Because most of us are in the habit of not listening or listening to our thoughts. We're in that real grip. That's why I say loosen the grip by writing your thoughts down. Somebody else just posted something.
I understand. I'm still not sure if he'll wash hands because it's not something he will do because we're all doing it. But, you can't change people's behavior necessarily.
Well, and by you taking care of yourself, that's the most important thing right now, is for you to take care of you and keep your distance and, the things that you are to do. You are responsible for you.
Yep. And we have one more comment from Michael, which I love. To answer before listening, that is folly and shame. It's a quote he shares.
It's great. Very good. Very good. You guys are really right there with it. All right. So like I said before, don't believe me. Discover it for yourself. So here it is. We are recording this, right?
Yes.
So you'll be able to go back through this again. It's right here. Clear your mind of the loudest thought before you meet with someone, or you are going to just be with somebody. So you want to clear your thoughts of all the loudest thoughts you have, anything that's there, any point of view you have about the person, any judgment you have about the person, any right, wrong you have about the person. You want to clear that out to give that other person the opportunity to be human. Okay, second step is to listen. Listen to the other person as if they were you. You know, if it was you, you'd be listening like crazy. Unless you don't listen to yourself, but anyways, you'd want to listen to you. Wouldn't you want to be listened to? Yeah. The third one is stand in their shoes and understand their concerns. From their point of view and their experiences in their life, which are different than yours, obviously, they can only have one point of view in their life, and that's their point of view. They can't have your point of view because you're over there and they're over here. They only have their experience, and wherever they got those points of view, that's none of your business. What your business is to just get their concerns. They have a concerns. With my parents, I got to see that they were concerned about where our country was headed. And man, I was in tears and I was moved by who they are. They want this country to work. And with that, I don't have any issues going and visiting with them and just being with them. Just being with them. And when they talk to me about their political view, I just go, that's fascinating. I've never heard that, which I never had, because I'm in the moment discovering their point of view, not my point of view about their point of view.
Phil, we're running out of time.
Okay,
So.
great. Last one, validate. Validate. Oh, I apologize. There's a typo there. Validate their concerns without adding anything such as advice, coaching, or your point of view. Okay, very good. So the whole job is thank you for listening. What you get is two people being with each other, two brains being gotten, two worlds being gotten.
Love, love, love that, Phil. Thank you. You've completely inspired me, because I can just say, as long as I've been a coach, listening has been the one skill that I've constantly been working on. And the better I get at it, the more I see how bad I am at it. So I have to just keep doing that. And so now I've been re-inspired, and I'm going to continue. I'm so glad we're recording this. And for those of you who are still on, if you would like to chat in a gem or a takeaway that you're getting, for Phil, what we like to do at our live meetings is do gems at the end and share what the most valuable thing is that we got out of the session. So for those of you who can still chat, if you'd like to chat that while I'm giving you our final words here, I'd love to share that with Phil before we hang up. Meanwhile, just take one more minute of your time and let you know that we are having a virtual chapter meeting this Thursday at 5, and we have another webinar next Tuesday at 11. And for those of you that signed up for the Business Mastermind, we also have the Business Mastermind this Thursday coming up. So lots of stuff. We are here with you. We're committed to you, and we really, really are just so happy at the participation and engagement that we have this year. I think these kinds of things are really helping all of us be stronger and more effective. Phil, let me read some of the gems that people are sharing just before we sign off. Thank you so much, Phil. This has been very helpful. Many of us are racing to respond. If we slow down, we can be more effective listeners. It's not about my point of view, it's about their point of view. You got to thank you. And a gem, write thoughts down to get out of your head before you meet with someone. Thank you for your time and knowledge, Phil. Phil,
My
thank you so
pleasure.
much for being with us. We really, really appreciate it. And it was just tremendously valuable.
So thank you for your generosity, and all of you, thank you for the generosity of your listening and your speaking.
Excellent. Bye-bye, everyone. We'll see you
Thank you
again
so
soon.
much, Phil.
You're welcome.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.